Welcome to Thrive in Design, a podcast about making money and beautiful interiors as it relates to product-based businesses in the interior design industry. Each week, we'll discuss innovative strategies on how to approach product development and design sales in a shifting market. I'm your host, Nicole Lachey Ben.
Welcome back to another inspiring episode of the Thrive in Design podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Lachey Ben, CEO and founder of Thrive in Design, where we empower interior product companies to amplify their brand presence and revenue through a human-centered approach to design and strategy. Today, I'm honored to introduce an extraordinary guest, Tori Sikkema, a bespoke interior, architectural, and celebrity photographer whose work is infused with the elegance of Hollywood glamour. Tori doesn't just take photos, she creates stunning visual narratives that elevate design projects and bring brands to life with a unique blend of artistry and storytelling. With features in Architectural Digest, Luxe, Aspire, House Beautiful, and Good Housekeeping, Tori's award-winning photography has made waves in the design industry. She's also the dynamic host of the Brand Lift podcast, where she explores branding, marketing, and business insights for creatives. In today's episode, we'll dive into Tori's journey as a visual storyteller, her passion for connecting with creatives, and her unique approach to bespoke photography. We'll also explore how she helps designers and entrepreneurs build stronger brand identities through compelling imagery. This is an episode you won't want to miss. So let's get started. Welcome to the show, Tori.
Thank you. Oh, I'm looking for Tori. Wow. That was like,
That's you,
incredible.
Girl.
Thanks, Nicole.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to have you on the show and dive deep into all the things that you have to share, because when it comes to things that I do for my clients, amplifying their brand presence and their revenue, visual storytelling is super important. So let's just dive into all the things. So let's start by you sharing how your journey as a photographer led you to focus on bespoke interior and architectural photography. Tell us all.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So early in my career, I traveled a lot for business, working in corporate America. And I had so many opportunities to travel to France and Paris and Italy and Milan specifically. And all of those images and all of that fashion and architecture just imprinted in my mind. And it really paved the way to what I'm doing today. I didn't know it back then, but you know how we have chapters of our lives and chapters of our careers. And all of that has kind of come full circle to where I am now. So in college, I picked up a camera and I was really into black and white photography. And so wherever I would go on my travels, I would always have my camera. Back then, it was film. While I did not develop the film myself, I was intrigued by lighting and symmetry and composition and framing, and being in Milan with the incredible architecture and Paris with the incredible fashion. It just took hold of me. And I didn't know it, but now I can look back and it frames everything that I'm doing today, which is pretty incredible. So that's kind of where I got the bug for photography, fashion, and architecture. And it wasn't until later, really during COVID, where I was very true with myself to say, I need to do what feeds my creative soul. And I just found my way to this niche. And crazy. And I said it to a lot of people and a lot of marketing people that work with brands. I said, no, I'm going to focus specifically working with interior designers and architecture. And they thought I was crazy. No, that's too, you should really get into weddings. You really get into portraiture. You should really just do like family photography and like sessions. And I'm like, no, that doesn't feed my soul. Because I hearken back to my early days in my career where I was in Milan and I was in Paris and the south of France. And I'm like, no, I want to be doing that kind of artful curation of imagery. And that's kind of led me to where I am today.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Paris, Milan, south of France, those are all places that give great design inspiration. Paris is one of my favorite places in Italy, honestly. All of the
Oh my
cities that I've
gosh.
been to
Yeah,
there.
I worked for this little water company and I still drink it today. So it was really incredible what I had the opportunity to and the exposures I had very early on in my career.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you blend all of this inspiration from all of your travels all over the world, all over Europe, and even a little bit of Hollywood glamour in there. So tell us how you take all that inspiration and infuse it into the photography that you're doing or even the storytelling behind your work.
Well, I think a lot of my inspiration does come from storytelling. And you can think about the movies. And in particular, I am obsessed with, and many people are, Nancy Meyers. And she is a female kick-ass producer in Hollywood who, one of my favorite holiday movies is called The Holiday. I don't know, this little movie with Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet, Jude Law, right? And there's just something about her movies and how they just draw you into the narrative and makes you feel, I don't know, warm and cozy. It just tells a story, but it tells a really authentic story. And that is my inspiration for my visual narrative storytelling. I want to take people on a journey without words because photography has no words. But through the design and through the very intentional styling and through very intentional composition and framing, my goal is to tell the story of that interior design project and help not only the designer use those assets on the back end to help them grow their brand, but also to take the people who are maybe seeing it in a publication or sitting on a rainy day, flipping through their favorite design magazine, help them to see themselves living in those beautifully designed spaces.
Yeah, I love that. So with storytelling and creating beautiful photography, you really have to dive deep into the story behind your client, whether it's an interior space that's looking to tell the story of the homeowner or a brand for a hospitality project, or even down to a product and the story behind how that product was brought to fruition. So tell us more about your process and how you go deeper into understanding the client's story and bringing that to fruition in the final product of your photography.
Excellent. Workflow is very important to me. Having a process that's consistent, repeatable, rinse and repeat is what I like to say. And I believe that what differentiates me in the marketplace is my background, not only the technical side of photography, award-winning, but also that marketing eye. So I can come to working with you through a very editorial focused lens, as well as the technical side. So when we talk about working together, first and foremost, we dive into your brand. And that really is the antithesis of a starting point. Without understanding who you are and what you do and who you're trying to reach, I can't tell that story. So through a succession of production, creative briefs, pre-production meetings, questionnaires, we really take a deep dive into your brand and process so that I can translate your design into that visual narrative that on the back end, I'm going to be able to deliver assets that are going to help increase the visibility of your brand to the people that you are hoping to be visible to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. It's more than just, okay, I'm going to show up and take these photos. That doesn't require any guidance. That's something that somebody could do just pulling out their phone. But having an expert who understands the marketing, understands that storytelling is super, super important. And so let's get into some examples of what that could really look like. So for a designer who might be listening and they're like, hey, I need this space photographed and we really want to tell the story. What are some things or tips that you might say to them as you're working through that process and photographing that space?
Great question. So, because we're both brand focused and marketing is number one, first of all, looking at those marketing dollars and where you're allocating them, I'm telling you, I am your best investment, hands down, because that visual narrative, those visual marketing assets, they are your first handshake with your clients who have not even met you yet. They might be on Instagram or found their way to your website or been referred to you. And where's the first place they're landing? It's visual. And so before you even have a conversation with a prospective client, you're putting your best face, I like to say, face of your design projects forward through that visual imagery. So it's critically important when you're thinking about, you just finished an install, maybe you have worked years on this particular project and it's a full house tour. It was a renovation or it was a design refresh, whatever it is, it's important for you, critically important that after the install, both the homeowner and you understands the importance of capturing that project through professional photography. It's your calling card. Again, it is that first handshake with a prospective client before you even exchange words in many times.
Absolutely. And we live in a visual world. Everything is based on really beauty. We are in a vain society.
So vain.
Yeah. That reminds me of that song. But honestly, we are living in a very vain world. So visuals, whether it's your branding, your logo, the photography, I know I judge a company. Like, if your visuals don't look good, I'm probably not going to do business with you. So all of those things help. And I think it's even deeper than us living in this vain world, but it really plays a role into like building trust with people that you don't know or building an emotional connection with any potential clients, just having high quality, beautiful imagery. Do you agree with that?
100%. I'll go back to Nancy Meyers and the kitchens that she styles and designs for her movies. It draws you in. It's that visual. It really is. It does draw you in. It establishes the trust. I love that. It does establish trust, a sense of this person knows what they're doing. I can entrust my, design project to them or my brand refresh or my brand launch to dive into my brand and get to know who I am. It connects you. It invests. It makes for a really strong relationship. And they know that the investment of their marketing dollars to working with you are going to be very well spent.
Yeah, I love that. Thrive in Design is more than just a podcast. We are a design and innovation consultancy that focuses on helping interior product companies increase their brand awareness and revenue. We do this by truly understanding a designer's experience with your brand. We need to know what they experience from the time they learn about your brand, through the specification process, through that product being shipped out to the job site. Understanding pain points in that experience is crucial in increasing your brand awareness and revenue. So whether you need to revamp your branding, marketing, or sales strategy, or the complete customer journey, we are here to help your company thrive. Head to thriveindesign.co/contact and let's get the conversation going about how we can help your interior product company. And so for any type of project that you've done before, has there been like a favorite that you've worked on from beginning to end? And tell us about all the nuts and bolts of the storytelling, the branding behind it, how you got the photography to align with the vision. Give us all the details of one of your dream clients that you worked with.
Well, we could talk about the vagina tunnel.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if your listeners could really it's a little rated R.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go with a project that, for where I live in New Jersey, has some sentimentality. And that is a project in Skillman, New Jersey. So it was a historic renovation, which I love anytime we can talk vintage and modern and kind of that infusion of both the old, timeless, and the new, invigorating. So this project, it previously was the Gallup estate. You've heard of Gallup polls. This was the estate of one of the Gallup sons, and it was a working, sustainable farm back in the day. And I don't know if you ever heard of pasture management, but it's where the cattle, when they're grazing, different seasons, they graze in different areas of the farm, and the grass is different in each of those sections so that the farm stays sustainable and they're not just in one area and it doesn't have time to renew itself. So it's really, really cool. And I got to learn a lot about it. So my client was actually a custom builder, this particular client, and the interior designer unfortunately passed not long after the project was complete. So from that standpoint, it had a really emotional sentimentality to me to see it through and really do the project justice. So what they did here is they totally tore down the original dwelling that was dilapidated, and they rebuilt a custom home that, when you looked at it, it looked like it was 350 years old. But they had used local artisans from around the tri-state area to recreate something new, but using older materials that were part of the land and the footprint of the original dwelling, which I thought was so cool. Limestone wash, copper gutters, flagstone, the works. But what was interesting, the interior of this house was very modern. The homeowners had a collection of artwork and also vintage guitars. So just from the mindset of being able to tell a visual story, I had so much to work with. I had the history of this sustainable farm. I had its roots in New Jersey, in the Skillman, Princeton area. I had this incredible custom builder that sourced from the region, which was amazing, and local artisans. And then I had this interior designer who reimagined the inside of this dwelling to hold the homeowner's artwork and vintage guitar collection. And so I went through and took a lot of time just storyboarding how I was going to approach the shot list, and knowing that at the end, this story had to be told somewhere. And I was fortunate enough at the end to pitch the story idea to a publication, and it was published. So the fact that the homeowners, the builder, the designer all kind of had hands on this project and chose me to tell that story was incredibly generous. It was a wonderful experience. I think what's most special about this project, in thinking back on it, is the fact that the homeowners had this incredible collection of artwork and guitars that we were able to curate in a way to tell that visual story of not only the farmland, the sustainability of the pasture management, the dwelling that was recreated by local artisans, but then this modern pop of what? As soon as you walked in, it was incredibly fulfilling.
Yeah, I love that. And a couple of things that you just said that are crucial to touch on, especially for those designers that are listening or brands that are listening, interior product brands, are the things that are happening behind the scenes that sound simple to us in terms of a storyboard or a shot list. So quickly tell us, for those who are like, well, what is that and why is it important? Tell us how you use storyboarding and shot lists to aid you in this storytelling, in the visual storytelling that you're doing in photography.
Definitely. So the secret sauce is it's not a secret that you have to plan. You have to have a workflow, a process with your clients and draw out of them an understanding of their brand, an understanding of their design process, the project that you're embarking on together. And a lot of that work is done way ahead of the photo shoot so that when we get there, we are super productive. Our time is critical. And as the interior photographer, it is on me to run the day. I wear many hats and I have to pivot and shift. I just posted something talking about shifting gears. And on photo shoot day, you have to be agile and be able to shift gears, be collaborative and be spontaneous in the moment, but also have a plan of attack for how you're going to capture what needs to be captured, the deliverable at the end of the day for the client, because that's what it's all about. I'm in a service-based industry and I want to give tremendous customer service to my clients. And at the end of the day, they're hiring me to deliver on a very high level. And without planning, right? What do they say? The 5 Ps? Prior planning prevents poor performance. It's true. You've got to have a workflow.
Yeah. And with all the creative things that happen, whether it's your photography or somebody's hiring a videographer or a graphic designer or what have you, I think it's important to also educate people that there's really like 3 stages. It's like the pre-production that's happening. There's the production. For you, it's the photography day, or, maybe it goes over multiple days. And then there's post-production. And that's just for one portion of the project. Once you have your post-production and you hand off your gallery, that might then get handed off to another creative in terms of the marketing person who is then taking that photography and, resizing it for certain platforms, for the digital platforms, for the print, and all the things, right? So there's so many nuts and bolts that are happening behind the scenes that I just wanted to highlight for a second. Because I think a lot of times people might see like, oh, this is this beautiful photo, or a brand might even aspire to have beautiful photography in an ad in a magazine or in a spread in a magazine, but are not thinking about what it might take to get there. So I just wanted to take a moment to highlight all those stages that are happening and the value behind it to get to that final story, that final imagery where you're attracting your client to eventually probably like get a sale or a new client or what have you,
I love that. So many times you think about, oh yeah, I need to hire a photographer for a photo shoot. And they think it's one day. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So yes, you shoot on one day, but then there's the retouching and the delivering of the gallery. And what are we going to do with the assets? And so it is not just that day of photography. It's a whole nother day of retouching and delivering a gallery at a very high level so that exactly we can hand off to the marketing ambassadors to then work their magic on the next phase of the project.
Absolutely. I love that. So all of these things are super important. So if you're listening, you're like, oh, okay, there's more to it. I definitely need some expertise. Me and Tori, like, we're becoming a tag team, honestly.
They are. We're fierce. I love it. Watch out, 2025.
Exactly. So, Tori, you also share a lot of information around like branding, marketing, and business insights. So for brands that are looking for a little bit more insights around all of those different touch points and not just photography, where would you say, especially for a brand that's like looking to launch maybe a new product or a new designer looking to launch their business, what are some insights that you might give them when it comes to branding, marketing, business insights, and photography?
So this is really appropriate because I am working with some new clients, new interior designers, young in their careers. And I say, find that design project that you can use as your laboratory and go wild. And let's say, and this happens many times, that the client, your clients, the homeowners, maybe, I don't know, the budget runs out.
Yeah.
gee, that ever happened to anyone? The architectural elements, the building cost more per square foot than had originally been anticipated. And after the furniture purchases, maybe artwork got crossed off the list. Maybe the custom wallpaper or custom fixtures got cut off the list. Something got cut. What I say to designers is it doesn't matter, because think about how you imagined that design project, the inception of that design project when you pitched it. Stay with that thought. Use that project as your laboratory and just reimagine it for the photo shoot. Suspend reality and say, I have this opportunity to have a photo shoot, to invest in this marketing so that I can have these beautiful images of a project the way that I had thought about it in the beginning. And it's okay that the homeowner and the client, maybe it's a phase 2 or phase 3 of the project, but before the homeowners start living in the home, it is truly important after install to do whatever you need to do, borrow, beg, steal.
Oh no, that's steal.
Those finishing touches, and hire a crew and just use it as your lab.
Yeah.
Use it as a studio for the day to get that photo shoot. And that for an interior designer just launching their brand is critically important. You can still get those images the way you had envisioned in the first place.
Yeah. And I think that's important to really like any brand to have that showcase project that you can really go wild on to show every creative aspect of what you're capable of doing. And I think that also applies to interior product brands as well. I study a lot of the bigger companies, like every trade show, I want to see what they're doing in terms of the product launches, because a lot of times the crazy product launches and how they showcase and how they tell the story behind those crazy product launches is what gets buzz going for their clientele. It might not be what people want to buy, but it definitely gets conversation going about the brand, whether it's interior space and interior products. And then you have a conversation starter for a new client, for a new potential project that will lead to more revenue. So I love that. So more of the story is go crazy and take photos all day.
Like you and I were just at BDNY.
Yeah.
And when I was going through Italy, literally through Italy, different aisles specific to Italy, there was a brand that was just launching, and it was, a textiles brand. Am I speaking your language? Cashmere, linen, alpaca, mohair. And they had all these beautiful bedding company and throws and pillows and just absolutely beautiful. And they were there to just, check the pulse for the New York market. And exactly what you said, it's a launching pad to tell your story. And that's so important, no matter what, whether it's a product launch or a new brand launch or a new architectural firm or a design firm. Same holds true. It's the same elements of success in branding and marketing.
Yeah, I love that. So I know we've been talking a lot about branding, marketing, storytelling through visual images, but another thing we have in common is that we're both podcasters, which is really exciting. Also just launched a podcast course for design-driven brands. So cohort 2 is going to be launching in a few weeks. So I'm super excited. But as a fellow podcaster, how do you see the parallels happening between creating compelling photography and just hosting podcast conversations? What are the parallels for you there?
So I think that it just stems from the fact that I feel like I have something to say and something to share with the community that can lift us all up. And so I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I have something to say, something that might touch one person, inspire someone, and also a platform to invite others on to tell their stories. And what's been so rewarding for me is to find the parallels, the commonality among so many different types of people doing so many different types of things. But success principles are success principles. And I believe that they can be inserted into any number of ventures. We talked about just here today, not just designers, but brands and product launches and architects. And I feel that because I'm at a stage of my life where I don't make any apologies for who I am, and it's okay.
Amen to that.
If you don't relate to me, someone else does. And I want to have a platform to share my vision and share maybe some of my path that might help someone else in their journey.
Yeah, I love that. And amen to that. I feel the same way. And I use this podcast and just being an entrepreneur as well has allowed me to be 100% authentic every single day. And that is the most freeing feeling in the world,
It is.
So what's next for you in your journey as a photographer? How do you hope to continue inspiring creatives?
Well, I think that in 2025, I'm getting ready for a new launch of a service that I'll be providing. And if your audience is interested, definitely sign up for my newsletter on my website so that you can get all of the happenings on what's going on. But I have big dreams. Like, I am ready. I've gotten a taste of, the next level of success for me. And I am shooting for the stars. I've aligned with some incredible entrepreneurs and business people. You are one of them. I definitely see us working together much, much more on collaborations and really becoming a partner to architects, design firms, marketers that are looking for those visual assets, but then also what to do with those assets. That's my little teaser. So sign up for my newsletter and we'll paint 2025 with success.
Yes, and beyond. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Well, Tori, I know we definitely want people to sign up for your newsletter. You shared so many insights today around branding, marketing, strategies, visual storytelling, and we even got into the nitty-gritty of what really goes on other than the day of the photo shoot, which I think is so important to highlight. But if people want to find you online or sign up for your newsletter, where can they find you?
Well, you could start with my website, and it has a treasure trove of information. I have a blog that has a lot of great pertinent information that will serve many communities. You can sign up now. I don't know, newsletter. I think, is it called a newsletter anymore? I don't know. It's like keeping you up to date.
Right.
So if you want to be kept up to date, you can sign up for that. I don't bombard you because I don't have the time to bombard you, but I'll share very relevant information that can help you. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram at Tori Sikkema Photography. My website, I know you're going to have in the show notes. And yeah, so many ways to connect and tremendous resources that I provide for people. The podcast, Brand Live Podcast, you can listen to previous seasons, and we're going to dive deep in 2025 as well. So looking forward to that.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, you guys heard it here. Tori shared so many gems today. And again, everywhere you can find her online will be in the show notes. So Tori, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for joining us this week on Thrive in Design. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Thrive in Design. And for more strategies on how your product company can innovate in the interior design industry, head to training.thriveindesign.co. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to create captivating content. See you next week.